The impact of media's influence cannot be painted as black or white. At the same time, it's important that you understand that each of us have our own opinions and perspectives when being surrounded by various forms of media. Today's youth are very smart consumers of media. They don't always believe what they consume on it. Through this talk, I would like to speak about how media can be a dangerous place if we are not aware of its dangers. I aim to highlight the problems we don't realize we face and bring awareness to them. Social media is quickly arising as a new and popular form of media. It has given a lot of people an opportunity and a free platform to express themselves. Genuine portrayals allow the youth to see things from a different perspective. Companies and small businesses are given an equal platform to advertise and popularize their products, seeing that social media is such a widely used form of media and is easily accessible. It also connects people all over the world. I can find out about different cultures from just a simple search. I can also contact people even when they are in different continents through different social media platforms. We have also seen a huge rise in the availability of things online, from food to clothes to job applications to even house hunting services. But we are beginning to see a new set of problems arise at the onset of social media. This majorly includes addiction, cyberbullying, unrealistic thought processes, and the constant need for someone else's appreciation. Instagram has now become one of the most popular sites of social network. Likes have now become one of the main factors catching people's attention due to their rewarding power and are even considered a sign of social approval. Prompt replies to messages, emojis, acronyms, and slang are beginning to define what we call a conversation over text. How many of you have heard a person say LOL or LMAO in real life? Maybe even you're one of them. Over time, we can observe how the youth has become more and more accustomed to such instances of instant gratification and how they turn us into dopamine junkies. Over the past year, we have also seen people turn into celebrities overnight by posting short dance videos on TikTok. What's more is that many of these users were not even posting original content and still received more fame and clout than the original creators. Even reality TV may seem harmless, but has a great impact on how we subconsciously seek instant gratification. The way performers receive feedback from judges is not how real life works. While it's totally fine to look for someone's commendation on occasion, turning it into a habit becomes an issue, which is when it's important to take a step back and recognize that you do not need someone else to feel good about yourself. The truth is, when you work hard for something, you will not always have someone tell you that you're doing a good job. You will always face failures in real life, but you will also always learn an important lesson from them. And so you must learn how to validate yourself. We often also get manipulated on social media. Real relationships take more than an ILY or a heart emoji. It takes trust, respect, and time to know someone. What you may have seen on Facebook as a cute couple who had a meet cute may be a failing relationship in real life. Love is a precious thing, but it is full of conflicts and letdowns. Some key characteristics of social media include a low barrier entry, instant updates, thus instant gratification, large numbers of friends, an open platform, and anonymity. The last two qualities making people comfortable in using it, but also making social media vulnerable to ill intentions. You would have heard of people catfishing or creating fake accounts on social media. This leads to deception, which is a distortion to mislead users. It can be about content, source, identity, age, sex, or location. While someone may seem like a very cool person on social media, can be a very different person in real life. But why would anyone want to deceive others on such an open platform? It's because all of us have our insecurities and fantasies. But from where? And why do these insecurities and fantasies affect our thought processes so much? It's because we have been surrounded by false portrayals of real life situations through various forms of media. For example, it doesn't always rain when you're heartbroken. If a girl's pallu gets caught in a guy's watch, they are not going to necessarily fall in love. If a girl isn't interested in a guy, he is most likely going to move on with his life and not chase after her. You are not going to suddenly appear more attractive if you wear a red sari, and romantic pianos won't always play every single time you dance with your partner. Unfortunately, as children, we grew up seeing Disney princesses being saved by princes in shining armor. But it's important to understand that each one of us have our strengths, and that someone isn't always going to save you or fight your battles. Not only that, we see falsely built images of various communities. We see skinny and model-worthy women having weak characters and being used as unintelligent plot devices in multiple movies. And the guy with six-pack abs who's some sort of cool macho man is always smitten with her. And of course, the few gay characters that do exist are always discriminated against, unwanted, or used to create awful jokes. What we also see is Bollywood popularizing mainstream movies that cast families of the most famous faces in the industry. But how can we change this? Should we stop watching Bollywood altogether? Because I can't. We must encourage movies like Mulan, Brave, Hidden Figures, Love, Simon, Carol, among many others, that show stronger depictions of commonly misperceived communities. We should encourage more involvement of females and members of the LGBTQIA+ community in the industry. We are beginning to see these changes through the form of OTT platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime. They provide more realistic content and cast fresher faces rather than mainstream actors. Advertisements. We know that the objective of any commercial advertisement is to capture consumer attention, convey positive attitudes towards the product, and encourage the adoption of the messages espoused. Do you remember hearing about a certain Wolf Gupta when you were binge watching TV? Maybe the fact that he was a 9 to 13-year-old who bagged rupees 1.2 to 150 crore job from Google might ring a bell. White Hat Junior is a startup based in Mumbai that specializes in teaching kids how to code. Many people took to social media to complain that even when they didn't have any children of their own, commercials were shown to them, and that the advertisements targeted parents rather than children. Today's youth appears to be particularly vulnerable to the effects of advertising. A recent study found children aged 11 to 12 exposed to high levels of advertising for alcohol from multiple sources were 50% more likely to drink and 36% more likely to have intentions to drink in the upcoming years. Even food advertisements using familiar cartoons are effective in stimulating children to ask for that particular food. Pop culture. We have all heard of the famous Kardashian family and the most known yet most controversial Kardashian, Kylie Jenner. One of her earliest controversies was the Kylie Jenner lip challenge. The then 17-year-old reality TV star had artificially plumped her lips, medically of course, but she never admitted that until much later on. Being at such an influential position, many young girls tried to replicate her plumped lips using shot glasses, resulting in a majority of them facing serious injuries. The idea of popular culture is undoubtedly very familiar to you. But how often have we critically analyzed this omnipresent socializing force in our lives? And what effect does this powerful institution serve? Let's define pop culture as the aesthetic products created and sold by profit-seeking firms in the global entertainment market. You'll notice that from the definition, culture itself is designed to be sold. This is why blockbusters like Star Wars or the Transformers movies follow predictable formats that often involve clearly defined enemies like good versus evil, human versus alien, and lots of car chases, fight scenes, and explosions. It also involves minimal dialogue. For example, Arnold Schwarzenegger, as a Terminator, only utters 147 words in his movie. We also see media popularize unrealistic body standards. We see models like Gigi Hadid and Kendall Jenner walking fashion shows with their perfect bodies. The Today Show and AOL.com collaborated on the Ideal to Real Body Image Survey. As a result, they found that around 80% of teen girls compare themselves to images of celebrities. Moreover, almost half of these girls said that celebrity images make them feel dissatisfied with the way they look. Airbrushed photographs of celebrities with perfectly preen bodies staged in exotic locations are all over media. But such flawless images have been described as damaging for the way they pressurize our youth to meet unobtainable body image standards. But we should also understand that we are in charge of who and what is popularized. When the news media selects a story, they monitor the opinions of those who watched it and the indicators which show public interest in it. If it proves to be of enough interest, they provide more coverage. If not, they let it go. Thus, competition between news channels and outlets makes the coverage of specific news stories relevant from a business point of view rather than an information dissemination point of view. What we should do is celebrate truly inspirational personalities like Malala Yousafzai, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Amanda Stenberg, Carly Kloss, Barack Obama, Keanu Reeves, Lin-Manuel Miranda, only to name a few. We should seek strong people to befriend, support, align ourselves with, and draw strength from. Whether that's a celebrity on TV, a newspaper editor, or even your own parents. In the early 1400s, Johannes Gutenberg, who was a goldsmith, invented the world's first printing press. The Gutenberg Bible was the first ever mass-produced book, and its introduction into society marked the beginning of printed media. He not only invented a printing press, but also facilitated the ability of the masses to learn how to read. He created a logical cultural process in Western civilization where most of them learned how to read, think, store, and process information. In the 20th century, students had to ask a teacher or an authoritative figure to answer questions they had. They had to pay for encyclopedias and books that could teach and inform them. Today, one need only turn on their computer or handheld device and connect to the internet. All the information in the world is available on the internet for free, instantly, non-linearly, and without the direct involvement of any authoritative figure. It's fascinating how information for the masses has transformed in such a short amount of time. To conclude, media will always play a huge role in our lives. It's the most important form of communication and connection. Today's youth devotes as much as 1/3 of each day to media, and that means we must always be aware of its negative effects and how it can start influencing our thought processes without us realizing it. Thank you.